Good morning and happy Sunday. Today is day 8 of a 28-day series that I'm doing about mental health and mindfulness talks. And today's topic of the mindfulness chat is how to still have joy when life gets difficult. Life gets difficult in seasons. And I like to think of seasons like sometimes the rain is thicker, sometimes there's like a storm, sometimes it's all clear. And sometimes like you can see the storm coming, even if it's clear on your side, you're like the storm is approaching you. Some people are in that phase in their life when the storm is approaching. Some people are in this phase in their life where there's like heavy rain and thick clouds right on top of them. And then some people are in the stage where you just got out of the storm and the storm just moved past you. But at everybody's life, the storm is either coming, going, or we're in the middle of it. And then the cycle kind of repeats itself over and over and over again. So if you've been enjoying this series, give these videos a thumbs up. If you're watching on the live stream or on the replay, comment below which part of that season that you're in. Are you in the stormy season right now? Are things really difficult for you right now to find joy? Are you watching the storm approach, or are you just getting out of the storm? Comment down below. All right, so as always, I have 3 points. Shouldn't be too long, so let's get right into it. The first one is change is the only constant in our lives. And one of the main ways to bring our awareness towards like joy, how to find more joy in our lives, even when things get really difficult, is to be aware that change is a constant thing that we go through. And actually, change is the only constant in life. And it sounds kind of ironic because it's like change and consistency are kind of opposites. But that's the whole point. Every time you look left and you look right, your life is going through changes before we, like, sometimes faster than what we even realize. So be okay and be accepting with that change is good and change is happening, even if it doesn't feel good, even if it feels like really strenuous. Change is the only constant in our lives. The second part to that is that the more that we accept change into our lives, the better off we are. Because resiliency will take us so far in life. Resiliency is the ability to be flexible with the twists and the turns that life brings us. And as we are going through changes, we can look out for the way that our body responds to the stress of being under pressure for that change. Sort of like a diamond being under that pressure. Sorry. What turns into a diamond? I think sand. Whatever elements turn into diamonds. We are under that pressure all the time. And instead of seeing that pressure as a curse instead of a blessing, one of the main reasons that we are having problems finding joy is we see everything that feels bad as something that is bad, as something that has a negative impact on our lives. But this is my belief. Everything that happens to us is to bring about good change. It's a good thing, really. Because I also believe that I'm also or I'm always in the right place at the right time. Something tragic could be happening behind me, around me, beside me, on all sides of me. However, within me, though, nothing can phase what is within me if I have joy, if I remember that all of the things that happen in my life, whether or not they feel really bad for me, it's actually a good thing for me. Thank you so much. Good morning. And yeah, if you are on the replay, let me know in the comments below what was the last, or when was the last time you went through intense seasons, really, really hard seasons in your life. I mean, I'm kind of just coming out of one right now. I yeah, a lot happened recently for me. I just came out of a really intense season, and a lot of people around me, they would probably never guess or never know, because one of the main things I've learned to be okay with is that change is a constant in my life. There will always be something happening. Like, there will always be either one of those three phases. Either I feel like I'm in the storm, in the rain, and the heavy clouds are right on top of me, or I am looking at the clouds approaching, but right now it's kind of clear, but I'm like starting to see the really, really thick clouds, and I know something's coming. Or the clouds just opened up, or the sky just opened up, and the clouds have moved past me. And everyone is in one of those phases in life. But the thing is, everyone also is soon going to go through a phase where the storm and the clouds are really thick and really heavy, because change is the only constant in our lives. So that's my first point. Change is the only constant in our lives, and that the more that we accept change, the more we can find joy when life feels really, really difficult. Number two, the second point that I have is, don't wait for joy to happen. So I feel like a lot of people who have a difficult time finding happiness, finding joy, whatever you want to call it, in difficult times, it's like, when times are difficult right now, we're looking at the future and saying like, okay, when this thing happens, when this event happens, or when I get this amount of money, when I get this thing off my chest, when when this certain circumstance that I have right now that is like weighing on me, when I get done with it, I'm gonna be so happy because it's gonna be over. And when we do that, we are waiting for circumstances to change in order for us to feel good about our lives. And that's one of the main things that keeps us from having joy, because we don't realize that we are giving responsibility to circumstances to dictate how we feel, when it should be the other way around. It should be that we dictate how we feel regardless of the circumstances, regardless of whether or not we're late on rent, regardless of whether we just had, whether we just lost a loved one. I just lost a loved one recently. And whether or not life is looking good right now, whether or not we feel good, then we look at those circumstances of things that honestly we have no control over, and we didn't make them happen, but things happen. And when things happen in life, when we say, oh, in response to this thing happening, I'm I'm gonna wait for me to be in a different circumstance in order to feel happy, or in order to feel joyful. We're giving all of the responsibility of our joy to circumstances that we don't control. So, in order to like shift that, we have to be aware that circumstances don't control our happiness, our fulfillment, our joy. And regardless of those circumstances, we control our insides and allow the outside to follow. Ooh, excuse me. What that means is that it's like we control what's in here in between our two ears. And the more that we learn to control this inside environment, the more perceived control we have on our outside environment. Because on the outside of me, like in America right now, the world is looking really, really nasty. It's really, the streets are looking really nasty, for real, for real. And it makes me really, really upset. It makes me really, really upset. And that's something that I I have worked on. I use social media a lot to reach out to people on my platforms. And I often see things that I don't want to see on social media, but I have to be aware of them. I don't control that, but I can control the media that I consume. I can control how long I'm on my device. And I can also control who I hang around to better my mindset, because also you are a sub, excuse me, I got it. Also, you are some of the five people that you hang around. So if the people that you hang around are always talking negatively about what's going on, and the people that you hang around, the five closest people to you, they never have no hope. They never have a positive attitude about their lives, and they don't have joy in their lives. How do you think you're going to get joy in your life? Because the attitude that you move through life with is going to be a average or a sum of the five closest people around you. So maybe it's even that we need to be super aware of the people that we have around us. But going back to this idea of like waiting for joy, waiting for a certain thing in our life to change in order for us to have joy. So imagine that you're in a storm, and there's thick clouds right over you, and it's raining really heavy. It's raining. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I can't stand rain. I can't stand when it's stormy outside and it's cloudy. Man, when it gets sunny, I'm going to be happy. Like, I'm going to be so relieved when it gets sunny. But right now, I'm just not feeling the storm, man. I can't even find joy. Then you're expecting the storm to clear up, but a week later, it's still raining. It's still heavy clouds. It's still stormy. And you're still like, man, it's been a while. I thought the storm was going to let up right now, but it's not. I guess I'm still upset, because the storm, once the storm clears, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be straight. I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna have joy. And then, what if like a month goes by and the storm is still there? But the whole time, we don't realize that we were like literally declaring with our mouths that the storm decides how we feel in life. Like the storm literally is taking away all your joy. But it's not because you don't like storms, it's because we're choosing to actually stay in our, like, we're choosing this to not have peace because of what's happening right now. We're making it out to be like so bad that we can't control how we feel about life. And it don't even have to be like, oh, I love storms now, when a couple seconds ago you said you don't like storms and rain, because you can still not like rain, not like clouds. But at the same time, it's not about the circumstance. I think it's about how we want to feel. And if we want to change, how we feel, then we need to change the fact that how we feel is based off of what's happening outside of our body. What How we feel shouldn't be based upon what's happening on the outside, but it's about the environment that we create on the inside in between our two ears in here, which is why it's not joy is not something that we can only attain once things get better, but it's something that we, as our birthright, we have the wherewithal to attain right this moment, even if it's chaotic, even if certain circumstances aren't going our way. By having joy when circumstances aren't in our favor, we gain a certain type of power. We regain the power to dictate our own feelings and emotions. And some would call that, some, meaning I am some would call that emotional resilience and emotional intelligence. So one of the main components, like, this is, if you don't know anything about emotional intelligence, this is it. Nobody or no one dictates how you feel right now but you. Point blank, period. Because you could say, oh my God, oh my God, like, it's morning time and I have to wake up early. Oh my gosh, I don't like waking up early. Waking up early puts me in such a bad mood. But at the same time, maybe we can't do anything about that because we have an early morning job and you got to make money, right? So, I mean, what's the point of complaining about something that you're not going to change? Because you could change that. I mean, you could change that situation. You could be like, whatever is making me wake up early, I don't like it enough that I'm gonna just get another job. Despite the fact that the job market is difficult right now, whatever, I'm gonna seek out a new job because I just don't like waking up early that much. And if it's really that serious, then change the situation. Oh, that's a whole another thing that I don't have in my notes. But now there's differences, right? Because there are situations that we can change. That's a situation that we can change. And we're in an even better situation if we can change it. If you don't like, waking up early in the morning with the sun in your face, and that doesn't give you joy, then change your schedule to a time that brings you joy. But also on the other side, like I just talked about, sometimes the situation is something that you literally can't control, like weather. And I was gonna say, unless you're one of like the high officials in the government, because they be changing the weather. They got instruments to do that. But anyways, but then like something like a circumstance in your life, like you know you lose a loved one. I just lost a loved one recently too, and that's something that you have no control over. That can feel emotionally, that can put you in a lot of pain, emotionally. But we talked about yesterday with being okay with sitting with your own thoughts. One of the things that I said is that pain is inevitable, or discomfort is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. That's a thought or quote by Eckhart Tolle. Because like you can feel bad about something that is currently happening because we have emotions. At the same time, if we prolong that feeling, it becomes a state of suffering. And if we dwell on it, and if we let that emotion or that circumstance be the main focus of our life, we start to dwell on those things, and then suffering becomes a product of prolonging our discomfort for too long or our pain for too long. So we never want to be a proponent of doing that to ourselves. And yeah, so that's my second point, that joy is not something that we should wait for. It is something that we only it is not something that we can only attain once things get better, but it's something that we can attain right now if we choose to not allow our outside environment to impact the way that we feel inside. So now, if you all have any questions, if you're watching on the replay or if you're watching now, type your questions in the chat box. And thanks for joining me. If you're enjoying this live, then give it a thumbs up so I know what topics you all like. And if you've been attending my lives for the past 8 days, because this is day 8. If you've been attending for the past 7 days, let me know what is your favorite topic that I've talked about this week so far. So, all right. Point number 1 was that change is the only constant in our lives. The more we accept it, the better off we are. Point number 2 is don't wait for joy. It's not something that happens. It's not something that we can only attain once things get better, but it's something that we can actually have right now. And then number 3 is that joy comes from being present moment right now. The present moment is all that we ever have and all that we ever will have. Let me open up my notebook of wisdom. I have years of mindfulness notes in here. And one of the best things that I have written in this notebook is that about the present moment is realize that the present moment right now is all we will ever have. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make now the primary focus of your life. Now is all there ever is. There is no past or no future except as a memory or anticipation in your life, in your mind. Sorry. That's a quote by Eckhart Tolle. I believe it's from his book, The Power of Now, I believe, which I have read. So this means, welcome to my ASMR. What this means is that right now is all that's really real, because the past is only a memory. Even though we wouldn't be where we are today without the past doesn't exist. Like, if you really think about it, the past doesn't exist. My past doesn't exist. I feel like every day when I wake up, it's a new thing. I feel like, yeah, when I wake up and I've slept and I've rejuvenated, it's like literally, actually, our cells are creating us like a new being. Our cells are literally regenerating so that we are renewing for the next day. That's why sleep is super important. First of all, if you're having a difficult time having joy, are you getting enough sleep? Ask yourself that, because not getting enough sleep will do so much for your so much negative things for your body. The stress levels that come from losing sleep. It also makes your immune system weaker. You're not able to recover from sickness faster. You might get sick more easily. You might have mind blocks during the day. Your thoughts aren't able to flow freely. Your appetite might slow down. Your metabolism, it might make it difficult for you to lose weight. I mean, all these things. So anyways, sleep is super important. But I believe that every day is a new day because literally my cells are regenerating in my sleep. Therefore, yesterday is not that it didn't exist or it never happened, but it's like it's not reality. Tomorrow also isn't reality because tomorrow hasn't come. Tomorrow will come with or without us, literally. But tomorrow will be there, and I have no idea nor do I have any control over what happens tomorrow. So tomorrow is just an anticipation. Yesterday is just a memory. Neither of those things are real if you think about it. The only thing that's real right now is the present moment. So, joy comes from being present. Now, how do you be present? What does that even mean? So, right now, if you are listening to this on the replay or on live, while I'm live, you are obviously zoned into what I'm saying. However, you might also be doing the dishes or walking your dog, or you might also be scrolling on social media. You are not being present with this video if you are not in the present moment, basically allowing your mind to be occupied intentionally by one stimulus, and allowing your mind to be occupied by one thing that you're intentionally choosing to focus on for this moment will bring you into the present moment. That's exactly what meditation is. Meditation is bringing your mind or bringing your awareness onto one thing so that you can intentionally focus on that one thing. And by doing that, we bring more respect to ourselves because we're more respectful for where we're more respectful with where our attention goes. Focused attention is intention. Say that again. Focused attention is intention. So being present, I know it sounds like kind of like, oh, what even is that? It's just focused attention. Intentional focus. And we can practice that in our everyday lives. I'll just give you an example. You can do that while eating. I do that a lot while eating because it's more healthy for your body, because when you are distracted while eating, actually your digestive system doesn't do all that that it wants to do with your food, because while we are eating, our body is going into the rest and digest phase. And our body naturally knows what to pay attention to. And if we break that natural cycle, then it has ramifications. So I'll give you an example. You know how like you eat a lot and then you get that itis. You know what the itis is? You get sleepy. You get sluggish. You want to take a nap on the couch. That's because actually all of your body's focused attention, all of your body's intention is going towards digesting your food so that you can regenerate it into whatever. So our body already knows what to focus on. Our body already, like, our systems are made for intention. So I think one of the main things to one of the main ways you can practice being present is while eating. While you're eating this week, if you usually watch TV while eating, try not doing that. I don't know. I sounded so blunt. Try. You can try. Sorry, I'm a Virgo. You can try, like, maybe if you feel like you need some noise in the background, maybe put on some jazz music with no lyrics, you know? And then eat your food. While you eat your food, taste the food. When you're actually watching something on TV or on Netflix while you're eating, your body isn't your senses actually aren't heightened enough for you to enjoy the actual eating process, because your focused attention isn't on one thing. So you're not eating intentionally. But when you retract from using your sight so much with the TV while you're eating, you can actually focus on how does the food taste? am I chewing it properly for it to be digested? Am I overeating? People tend to overeat in a lot more numbers when they are distracted by something visual while eating. So maybe opt for that. Another way that you can be more present with your present moment and more intentional to help, find joy in these little moments is while getting ready for your morning. And what is the first thing that you do when you wake up? Now, I have troubles when I wake up. I would say I have troubles, but every morning you have a morning routine, whether you know it or not. You're like, I don't really do routines. You have a morning routine because you have something that you do every morning when you get up, whether it's brush your teeth, wash your face, not in that order, scroll on social media, check your emails. You have a routine. And so, one of the best things to do in the morning when you wake up is, of course, get up out of bed. Whatever your body feels like it needs to do first, do that. Most of the time for me, my body needs to get on the toilet. So I do that before I do anything else. And then maybe because I'm already in the bathroom, then I proceed to, brush my teeth, wash my face, wash up, take a shower, whatever I'm doing for my morning, maybe even get dressed. But somewhere in there, I spend intentional time to focus my brain on something that doesn't involve outside stimulus from the outside world yet. That doesn't involve checking emails, that doesn't involve checking social media, because the moment that you wake up, it's like the car has started again. And if it's cold outside, most likely you're not just going to push start and then vroom. So why do we do that to our bodies? We wake up and the first thing we do is grab our phone. We push and start and we going vroom. Because as soon as we wake up in the morning and we allow the outside world to hijack our brains, as soon as we just came from a regenerative sleep and our body's fasting, we're the most vulnerable, honestly, and susceptible to the world's hijacking techniques of our mental fortitude. Look at me using such big words, such a scholar. And scrolling on social media right when you wake up is the best way to do that if you want to do that. But if you want to avoid, your mind being hijacked early in the morning, because you also want to avoid being stressed out early in the morning by a text message or an email. I promise, like, the email and the text in the social media and checking is really not as urgent as we think it is. There's nothing more urgent than being in the present moment, actually. So my recommendation is to, spend at least your first 10 to 15 minutes in the morning waking up without grabbing your phone. And for me, what I do is my phone is always on sleep mode in the morning. It's always on do not disturb throughout the evening, so that my alarm, and also my alarm is the bird song alarm on the iPhone. So it's birds chirping. It's really super peaceful. You don't want one of those alarms that's loud right off the bat, because my alarm, it kind of like gradually gets louder. But after I push my alarm off, it goes back to being in sleep mode. So it goes back to do not disturb, so that, I'm not prone to checking my text messages. It's a signal to my brain that my mind still needs this time to wake itself up. And after it's warmed up, after you've done some things for your body, maybe wrote down your dream that you had the night before. I do that a lot. Maybe do some journaling, write in a journal, or pray, meditate, read something. I don't know, do a Sudoku puzzle, something like that, and spend about 10 to 15 minutes doing your morning routine, something other than checking that. And if you're saying you don't have enough time to do that in the morning, yes, we all have time. We just don't. We haven't yet carved that time out in our morning. Because the only thing that we think is important is rushing to the phone in the morning. But we need to see these things in this intentional time with just our mind and nothing else, no other outside stimuli. We need to see that time as precious. So yeah, number one, how to still have joy when life gets difficult. Number one, change is the only constant in our lives. The more that we accept change, the better off we are. Yep. Number two, don't wait for joy to happen. Don't wait for your current circumstance to end and be like, once I get through this, I'm going to be so happy. I'm going to have joy. Joy is not something that we have to wait for. However, it's something that we can actually have now. It's something that we can't, it's not something, sorry, that you can only attain when things get better. You can attain it right now. And number three, joy comes from being present in the present moment. So what are some things that we can do that we can focus our attention on so that we can have intention with our brain? So if you're watching on the replay, again, give this video a thumbs up, give this live stream a thumbs up, and then also join me tomorrow morning for another mindfulness chat. Thanks so much, y'all, for hanging out with me today, and have a great rest of your Sunday. Peace.